Hello everyone. Today's podcast will be very special. Why? We have amazing, beautiful, the queen from Michigan, number one realtor in Michigan, leading a successful team of more than 1,000 real estate agents with the name of Team Gogo, one and the one only, Gogo Bethke. Gogo, welcome to our another podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
It's so
thanks
nice to
for.
see you online too. I get to see you guys at events. You guys are some of the sweetest people I met.
Thanks, Gogo, for joining in. I know it's same from our side also, and I like your pink ambience. That's very unique to your personality. I love
Yeah,
that.
that was real estate.
Yeah,
All pink.
all
It's funny
pink.
because the older I get, I like pink. When I was younger, I wore black. All black. And then now that I'm getting older, it's like all pink. I'm like, okay, I'm
I
getting
love that.
girlier as I grow older.
You are still 18-year-old. Who told you you are getting old? You are getting young day by
Right.
day.
Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, that's right. 18 for the 22nd time.
Yeah, that's good. So, Gogo, why not you tell our viewers who's Gogo, what is Gogo up to these days, family, professionally?
Okay. So you said Michigan. I actually live in Florida now. So this house where we're shooting this is in Florida. I'm originally from Romania, Transylvania, Romania. I moved to the US when I was 21 back in 2003. I got licensed in real estate in 2011. I met my husband pretty much right away as I moved to the US in a bar. And then 2 months later, I was moved in, and 2 months after that, we were married. We have two boys, they're 13 and 15. So I started out when the boys were 2 and 4. I was stay at home mom until then, but I was just ready to like go and form a sentence, like talk to an adult and make some money. And I wanted to be able to go home every year to Romania, and it's pretty expensive, right? Like for the four of us to go home, and when we go home, it's usually we stay 4 6 weeks, so it becomes expensive. So it ended up being about like $15,000 every time we went home, and that's a lot of money, right? For an everyday salary to be just throwing $15,000 out just so we can go home in the summer. That was a lot of money. So I got into real estate with the idea that I just wanted to make enough money to cover every summer to go home to Romania and some spring breaks and some pizza money, right? And got into it. Realized I thought it was easy, like watching HGTV all day long, right? And then it's quite complicated, right? Real estate is it's a hard business to make a name in because there's a lot of us, right? And we are dealing with people's largest assets, so they shop realtors, and especially in my case, not having a sphere of influence, having to make a name for myself. When my real name is really hard, like you have a hard name, I have my real name is really hard, right? And that's why I hold license. So I had to just kind of out of necessity become really good at marketing myself. And because I needed to find someone that's going to buy or sell a house with me, right? They weren't like lying, they were knocking on the door, right? So I became good at Facebook marketing. I've never done it through ads. So everything that I do is organic social media marketing, meaning that you post, you use the right hashtag, you use the right links, you generate people off of a platform onto your website or onto a CRM program or collecting their information, right? And then following up, turning them into a client. And fast forward, I've been now in the industry for 11 years. We own 8 different companies. I have a local team in Michigan. We have a downline over 1,000 agents at EXP. Um, that we call the Team Gogo organization. And then I started a boot camp to pretty much share my knowledge with the world. The first boot camp was about social media. The second boot camp was about agent attraction. Then I started a title company, a transaction coordination company, a virtual assisting company. One of them we shut down. The other one I just separated partnerships on. And we have a syndications company, and I don't know what else. Oh, I'm starting a TV show in November. So it's just it's an evolution of you start out as doing one thing and then you become good at it, and that feeds into another thing and you become good at that, and then it just goes on and on and on. So today I consider myself more an entrepreneur, right? That just does a little bit of everything in the real estate business as a whole.
That's crazy, actually. I can imagine when you were talking about 2003, 11, going back to Romania, team of 1,000, you have so many business. So what is one question that come into my mind is how you create balance. You have a team, you are a successful real estate agent, you are a mom, you run a family, you go for a vacation, you are into podcast, how you manage your time?
So you have to be very, very scheduled, right? And you have to honor that schedule. So this is why when you and me were talking that usually you don't do your podcast in the mornings because, attendance and all that, but that's the only time I can do. So I do podcasts. I know every Tuesday at 11, I'm doing a podcast
Okay.
and I'm scheduled halfway into next year, right? So you have to be very, very scheduled. So Mondays are my meeting days. Now I'm working only Monday to Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are my days off. So I feel like I have worked so hard for the last 11 years, right, of my life that it is time to slow down and enjoy the fruit of my labor. Also, one of my best friends passed away last year, and that's kind of opened up my eyes of like, really all you got is that you don't know how much time, right? But whatever time we have here, I need to enjoy that and I need to spend it the way I want to spend it, right? So really, I only work Monday to Wednesday. I'll show you what that looks like. I use a Google Calendar. I couldn't do
Mm-hmm.
anything without my Google Calendar.
Okay.
So this is October. So this is my calendar for the month.
Wow.
Everything's
It's.
colored.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Love
Everything's
that.
coordinated. So Mondays I do meetings. So between my 8 companies, I have an hour meeting for each of them, right? So that's 8 hours of meetings on Mondays. So I woke up from the moment I wake up, I sit on Zoom calls, back to back to back to back to back to back. Each company gets an hour of my time. So that's Mondays. For that, we see what happened last week, where we have with things. Did we get it done? What we talked about the previous week, and then we plan on what we have to continue doing this week, right? So then every company kind of just has a whole week to get it done, and we meet again on the following Monday. Tuesdays are more of my leadership meetings. So Mondays is everyone that works in each of the companies come to those meetings. Tuesdays are leadership meetings in the morning. So two of my biggest money making companies, I have a leadership meeting where we literally just the leaders sit down and we kind of look at our financials, how our ads are doing, things like that. And then I do the podcast at 11. So I just came off of my two leadership meetings, podcast at 11. Usually my afternoon on Tuesdays is open for appointments. So that's where people, if they want to talk EXP or if they want to, sorry. Tuesday mornings, I do coaching calls first. So from 7:30 to pretty much 9 o'clock, I have 6 15-minute clients that I take on, and it's 15 minutes back to back to back to back coaching calls. So I start at 7:30 until 9. 9 o'clock comes the leadership meetings, and 11 o'clock is podcast, and then the afternoon is open to the random appointments. And then Wednesdays are our training days. So we call it the Team Gogo Day. At 9:30, we have the state training. So to make sure that my license and I'm up to date of what's going on in the state of Michigan. At 9:30 on Wednesdays, we have the Michigan State meeting. Can I attend that or listen in from my phone? 1 o'clock is always our guest. So at 1 o'clock, we do production and mindset training. And then at 8 o'clock at night, we do what's called Why Not EXP. And this is on repeat. So it's every single week. Thursdays and Fridays, I try not to work, but I really don't know how not to work. Right? So even though I'm not sitting, at least I'm not sitting and I'm not scheduled for things, right? But those are the times, the days where I can work on my business and not in my business. So that's the time when I'll sit down and look at my businesses from a 10,000 foot view. That's the time when I maybe look somebody that I look up to, I'll have a coffee with them or lunch or ask them on a Zoom call, right? So I can pick their brains so then I can help myself to get to the next level. So Thursdays and Fridays are not necessarily working days. They're more like planning and taking a step back and looking at your business from far away that maybe you can find things, and when you're in it all day every day you wouldn't see. And then Saturday and Sunday there's absolutely no work.
Love that actually. So you're so organized, everything is so scheduled. So the question is like, what is keeping you on those scheduled? What are the processes and systems that have helped you from your previous years, which helped you to do more this year on the real estate, on your family side, on your time saving? Do you have any golden nuggets that you want to share with the audience?
Well, I think it's very simple. I mean, you are as good as your word. So if you said you're going to be doing that, then if I said I'm going to be here today at 11, then I better freaking be here at 11 today, because if not, I lose my word, right? And that's all you got in the industry and in life, right? So if it's in my calendar, you can consider it done.
Okay.
It's really that simple. It's non-negotiable, right? So my family knows, and every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, I'm doing an EXP Explained, and yeah, they can go to the movies or they can go have fun or do whatever, but mommy's working. And if they are like, for a while they were like, well, why are you working? It's a Wednesday, it's nighttime. Why don't you like come have dinner with us? Because I'm like, because in order for us to have what we have, this is what needs to happen.
Love that.
Right? So then we have a choice. We could not have this beautiful house and live back in Michigan, and you not have your golf cart and your electric bike and your electric scooter and all of the TV in your bedroom and all of the fancy things that money buys, right? or I can spend Wednesday night with you, and then we can afford to order pizza.
That's very good, right? So basically, I can see that there's a family support. You created that understanding between them. That's why you are able to manage your time. So anything on the technology side which have helped you? Obviously, that you have good with the Google Calendar. Anything you align, because even for this podcast, also we're seeing continuous messages coming up. Okay, what is the agenda? What we are looking into? How you manage those processes and systems?
So I have assistants, right? And my assistant has assistants, so you can do it. I can do this by myself. So in order for everything to get taken care of, you have to have an amazing team in place, right? That's what gives me freedom of not have to work on Thursdays and Fridays. But as for systems in place, you definitely have to have Calendly, and your Calendly has to set up for all of the different appointments, right? So podcasts, for example, I have a Calendly link for podcasts, and that's set up for Tuesdays at 11, and that's the only time that you can choose, right?
That's
If you want me to be on your podcast, Tuesdays at 11, or I can come to your podcast, right? Because I'm not willing to take time away from my family, because I don't want to have that conversation with my son to be like, oh yeah, sorry, Mandeep is more important than you are on a Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, right? So if Mandeep wants to have me on a podcast, it's going to have to be Tuesday at 11. So you're going to have to honor that, have the systems in places and have the people in places. Also, if it's guarding your calendar, I believe that you should have an assistant who's the gatekeeper to your calendar, right? So Lindsay is the one who checks my emails, so people, or any of my DMs, right? Besides Instagram. Instagram I answer personally, or anywhere else it's Lindsay, right? So then when those things come in, you're going to be talking to Lindsay. So if you invited me to a podcast Tuesday at 6, Lindsay's going to respond, oh my gosh, Gogo would love to, but she only does podcast Tuesdays at 11, and her earliest availability is March 17th, 23, right? So that's how we do that. It is easier when you no longer, I feel like, at least the way I am, I think most entrepreneurs, we just want to do, like that's our nature. So it's hard to learn to say no. But I feel like if you have that middle person, like if I don't even see that email, because if I saw it, I'd probably be like, oh my gosh, what happened?
yes,
I
yeah.
want to do that, right? But since I don't even see it, it's filtered by somebody else. Now I'm not tempted to say yes. Like if and when it shows up in my calendar, that's the one I need to attend.
Definitely. So Google love that. So I'm not sure. Are you aware of disk analysis? I can see the way we
Oh,
are communicating. Are you high D?
no.
Yeah.
What do you think I am?
No, I feel like you are D and I.
Yeah. Heidi and I, my ass is in the middle at home, less at work. And my C is non-existent in either places.
So you're just replica of me.
No.
I can relate to that, right? So I have a high D, I have the same issues like you, but I'm getting to that. So I had issues where I feel like I can do better than my assistant. So I was getting involved in every aspect of it. So I'm just educating myself to move out, phase out, let them do it, and let them be independent. So it's saving a lot of my time. So I can completely relate to that. So Goga, you recently, I know you moved to Florida. So what was the reason for that move? I know you're in Michigan. People move to the place where they're doing real estate. How come you're so independent that you are managing things from Florida?
So we were at a training, NADA certification training, National Association of Expert Advisors, with my husband. And
Okay.
the guy on stage, he looked at us and said, why do you guys live in Florida? You know, you're not a tree. You can move. And I looked at Dwayne, I'm like, why do we live in Michigan for?
Okay. Okay.
Like, no offense, but if you could have true freedom, where would the place be where you would want to live, right? If you had time freedom and location freedom, where would you want to live? And we no longer wanted to live in Michigan, even though my husband's family was there. It's not because of family; they're amazing people. It's the weather, right? We have two boys. We were stuck inside for 6, 7 months and getting to the end of Netflix. That's no life. That's half of your life inside every single year just because the weather sucks and you can't go outside. There's nothing for us to do. We are not outdoorsy when it comes to like skiing or winter activities, right? So we were just stuck inside. And we wanted to move somewhere where it's sunny and 75 every day and our children can ride their bike to school, right? So that's why we made the move. And then you just kind of figure it out. We did not give up our Michigan house. We still have our Michigan house. The idea is that we live down here during school year and we live up in Michigan in the summertime. So we're having the best of both worlds, right? Because Michigan is beautiful in the summer. So we're going to be back there in the summertime and then back in Romania for a couple of weeks and then down here for school year. So our kids can have their cake and eat it too. And we live where people vacation. So I feel like we all work so hard to achieve our goals, and then you achieve them, and then you're like, and this is it. So we're just gonna make money, and no, you can move. You can move absolutely anywhere, and especially with EXP, right? Us being a technology company, so there's absolutely nothing I can do from this device. Like I run all of my businesses from, well, I have two phones, but other than, and that's another thing. Maybe I can tell you. So what I decided to do, reason why I got two phones, since we were talking about schedule and how do I manage it.
Okay.
This phone goes face down at 5 o'clock. It goes like that, and I don't touch it until the next morning. The other phone is what's now my personal phone, right? And that one has, I want to say 5 people know that phone number. Like my children, my husband, my mother-in-law, my best friend, right? So if that phone rings after 5 o'clock, I need to answer it. I have to answer that. If this phone rings after 5 o'clock, doesn't matter. This phone can wait because it's probably work.
So that like that actually. So you have this is called a virtual assistant
Yeah. Oh,
itself because
and I'm not logged into anything on that phone. I'm not logged into Facebook. I'm not logged into my emails. I'm not logged into anything because if I log in, I will check it.
you'll post, right? You are a social media guy.
Exactly, and I will check it. And so I am logged into Instagram on that one, so I can post, right? Because that's how we make money. So if I stop posting, we stop making money, right?
Yes.
So I can post, but I can't check my emails. I can't check any of like the Slacks and the Trellos and nothing.
I love
Even
that
if I
actually.
tried, I can't. I'm not logged in.
I like that. Sometimes you need those barriers to separate from the so much noise in the world. That's what I feel like. So I was there in the event. They're like normal people are spending 2 hours 30 minutes their life on social media. So same will happen with us also. We can be engaged so much into that, and we are not spending our time with the real people. That is our family. That is a near, dear. Those are our friends. So I like that separation. So now you have the systems in place. What about your assistant? Are those like local to you? I know you have a virtual assistant company also. How you're managing them?
Yeah. So it started out with Christy. So Christy was my first hire, and she was my assistant at the time. Now, 8 years later, we've been working together. She's my COO. But she's back in Michigan, and she pretty much runs anything operations. So in between, we pretty much built all the businesses together, right? So she knows all the companies, everything that we do inside out. So she's operations on everything, right? And she's in Michigan. And
Okay.
then Lindsay is my executive assistant. She's from Brazil. She's been with us for going on 2 years now. She does anything, DMs, workplace chat, all my emails. Think about it, just my emails. For each company, I have an email address. Like that's a full-time job alone, right? Checking my emails. And so she does that. And then she got to the point where she needed an assistant. So now she has an assistant, Amanda. So my assistant has an assistant, right?
Wow, I love that.
Yeah. So Amanda and Lindsay pretty much run my life when it comes to emails, when it comes to scheduling anything in my calendar. So they guard pretty much my calendar to remind me if I'm traveling somewhere, when I have to leave, if I booked a hotel or need a flight, or those kind of things. And then we have all kinds of other assistants. So on the Team Gogo side of things, for example, we have a numbers guy, Saeed. He's from Pakistan. So he runs all of our numbers, all of our celebrations. So who's our top producer, who's our top agent attractor, who has birthdays this month. And then he runs all of the monthly numbers, and he does all of the onboarding. So he's
Love
kind of
that.
like our tech guy slash number guy slash onboarding specialist. And then we have Ellen. Ellen is our design girl, so she makes everything pretty. So when Saeed comes out and says, hey, so and so is the top producer, so and so icon this month, so and so is the top agent attractor, then Ellen designs all of those pretty things that you see we post, right? Like you congratulating so and so for iconing, or it's so and so's birthday, right? So all of those things are designed by Ellen. Ellen also designs all of the screensavers, I guess, for like the YouTube videos, when we are announcing who's our guest speaker this week, like all of those things. She makes things pretty. That's her job. Then we have Karen. Karen is my social media assistant. So I make all the posts on Instagram, but that's the only place I personally post on, right? And then Karen takes it from there and posts it everywhere. The TikToks, the LinkedIn's, the Facebooks, the Facebook pages, Facebook groups, like you name it, right? Everywhere that I'm at, she takes it from Instagram, takes the post that I made, and then plasters it everywhere. She also checks all my DMs besides Instagram. So again, Instagram is only one that I check. Then Lindsay and Karen checks all of the other ones. So Lindsay handles anything in my DMs that's tied to my calendar. So if I have to be somewhere, speak somewhere, those kind of things, right? And then Karen just responds to all of those requests like, hey, Gogo, I saw you on at EXPCon and you were talking about your agent attraction course. Can you please send me the link? Right? Like I don't have to be the one sending that link. So Karen will read it and she'll send it to them. Now, if there is something that is personal, they put it unread. So then when I log in, I know those are the only ones that I need to track. And they let me know. So like, hey, go on LinkedIn, somebody messaged you in Hungarian, right? So if like you always say your native language. So then I know I need to go in there and respond because I can't teach them how to speak Hungarian, right? So
Yeah.
anybody that messages me in Hungarian or Romanian, because I speak both, then those are the ones that I personally get back to on all of the platforms. And then they let me know. So that's Karen. Then we have Anna, and Anna manages a lot of our Facebook groups. So I own one of the largest real estate Facebook groups in the US. And I don't think it's one of the largest. I think it is the largest real estate Facebook group in the US, over 450,000 members.
Wow.
And so we get a lot of requests and, posts and things like that. So she manages all of the groups, right? So groups are different. If you think about it, like my boot camps, like my social media boot camp has its own private group. Agent attraction boot camp has its own private group. Team Gogo has its own private group. Like we have a lot of Facebook groups that we own and manage. So she manages the groups and the scheduled posts and all of those things, allowing people in and taking posts out if they're inappropriate and those kind of things. Then we have
I think we covered like social media, we covered your personal, anything on the family side, on your health side?
so the problem with that, right, is my family. So let me just see very quick. Oh, and then we have Gogopreneur. We have an assistant in that.
Okay.
We just see Team Gogo. I want to make sure we covered all of the different jobs. Lindsay, Alan, Karen, Saeed, Amanda, and Usman. Yeah. So we pretty much have everybody covered here.
Love that. So, Gogo, when you started, how much time it took to offboard those things? I know for me it's engaging, no training someone else, and they are working independently. It takes your time and energy, obviously. So, how much time it took for you to be independent? Do you had you had any goals set up? Like I'll be independent from this. Let's say about my Facebook groups. I don't want to manage them.
Yeah. So, I mean, being a high D, just as you said, it's hard to give up things because you can do it better, faster than anybody else. And I don't really have patience to teach you how to do it. I might as well. If I have to take 2 hours out of my day to teach you how to do it, I'm just going to do it myself in 5 minutes. Right? That's how you think.
Yes.
I know, because that's how I think too. But the problem with that is you cannot grow, right? And eventually you have to look at things like how much is your time worth? Have you ever done the exercise of calculating your hourly rate?
Definitely, I've seen one of your video, but let's love to have that exercise for our audience.
So you can do it a few ways. I think the easiest way of doing it is assuming that you work 40 hours, which we don't, right? But let's just say that we do, right? You take your year-end salary or income or commissions or whatever money you made, right? So let's say you made $200,000 last year, right?
Yes.
You're going to take the $200,000 and you're going to divide it by 2,080. That's pretty much for working 40 hours a year, every single week on a year, right? So you're going to divide that. So let's say
Let's make it 2,000 just for the number's sake.
Yeah. So
200,000 divided by 2.
we're gonna take a $200,000 salary or income, and we're gonna divide it by 2,000 hours. So you pretty much make $100 an hour, right?
Okay.
So now you have to look at everything of like, okay, if I make $100 an hour, what does it cost me to send these emails? What does it cost me to check my stupid LinkedIn messages? Like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited we are connected, and you have 400 of those. It's gonna take you 2 hours. So that means now you are $200 negative. Right? Because you spend 2 hours on activity that is not making you money. So you want to look at it with your hourly rate, but I feel like us realtors, our hourly rate is much higher, right? So the way I like to calculate it for realtors is I want you to look at it, okay, on the listing side, what's your average commission? And on the buy side, what's your average commission? So on the listing side, you'll spend probably, if you're really good at your job, you'll probably spend about 7 hours with the seller. From the moment you have your phone conversation, you go out you tour their house, you go back home, do the paperwork, send it over electronic signature, you put it in the MLS, you market it, you negotiate it, you get to the closing table. It's about 7 hours.
Yes.
So let's say if your average commission, what would you say an average commission is for you guys on the listing side?
Let's make it maybe let's say 20,000, or let's number say we can make it 10,000 too.
Okay, so we'll do 20,000. We'll do divided by 7 hours. So your average hourly rate with the seller is $2,800, $2,857. So you make $2,800 every time you work with the seller. So should you be answering emails? How much do you think it would cost you to hire somebody to answer emails?
Just same like maybe 2,800, just 1 hour.
An hour to answer. I'll answer your emails for $2,800 all day, every day. You pay $2,800 for someone to answer your emails for an hour. There's no freaking way.
No, for the whole for a whole month, right? I'm saying.
No, for an hour. You're talking hour for hour.
Oh, hourly, maybe let's say $1,500-$1,600.
So $16 an hour?
Yes.
Okay. So for $16 an hour versus $2,800, who should be answering emails? Should you pay someone $16 to answer your emails and you go get another seller so you can make another $2,800 an hour, or should you answer emails? Because every time you answer emails yourself, you're losing $2,841 every hour. And you're making $2,856.
Yeah, love that.
So that's how you need to look at it. You need to look at it, okay, what is my hourly rate? What am I worth, right? And then does that activity worth that? By you answering that email, is that ever going to make you $2,800 an hour? If it is, because you're talking to a seller, continue doing that, right? But if it's not, it's just you getting invited to a podcast or checking your whatever commission slips or whatever, that is not your time best spent, right? That part has to be hired out. So as soon as you know what you are worth, it's much easier to make the decision of like, that is so stupid of me to ever answer another email. And I couldn't tell you the last time I checked my emails.
I like that actually. So it's like, I would say it's like 50,000 view of your business you are into. That approach is somebody who's analytical like me, I can completely relate to what you're saying. It's all about numbers game.
Right? Because otherwise you do feelings. And as long as you're doing feelings, making feelings decisions in business, you're not a good businessman, right? Or businesswoman. So in business, I work for money. What do you work for?
Definitely. I work for financial freedom, maybe time freedom. That's a key thing for our family.
Money. All of that is bought by money. The more you make, the more freedom you have, right? More people you can afford to hire, the more time freedom it gives you. And when you have time freedom, you have location freedom. It just kind of all goes back to money, right? So in my opinion, the faster you can figure out where do you make the most amount of money and what do you enjoy doing, right? What are you really good at? For me, that's negotiation and marketing. I'm really good at marketing and I love negotiating. Like that's my favorite thing, right? So pretty much the only two things I do today, I don't even necessarily negotiate anymore because I feel like my agents are so good at it. Now I do negotiate in my business endeavors, right? Like if we bring in a vendor, we're doing this or that, like I put my negotiation skills to test. But other than that, really my only job is to continuously grow what we have already and come up with new ideas and grow those and then hire everything else out. So in each of my companies, I have assistants and then my assistants have assistants, right? And I can't tell you when you finally get over the hump and you realize your freedom. And I'm like I actually wanted to ask Christy yesterday, I got this idea. I'm like, how many people do we employ? Like between all the companies, because I don't know, to be honest with you, between the 8 companies, how many people we employ. But I want to say we probably have about 25 to 30 employees between the 8 companies. And I'm like, holy shit.
You are big.
Excuse my French, right? Like I created a bunch of mini-me's. I multiplied myself. Think of it this way. Now I have 30 people working 40 hours a week to get done what I could only do in 40 hours myself, right? So now I'm getting 29 times more 40 hours a week because I multiplied myself. So imagine how much work you get done in the 40 hours that you work now. Where you at now, you got it done because of you, right? Now, if you can change that and create a bunch of mini Mandeeps, where would you be a year from now?
Definitely, it'll be 10x growth we always talk about. Love that actually analogy. It's like good comparison. It's about numbers, how you can leverage other people, and then you can scale.
So let's do the math. So let's say there's 30 employees, right? Just for the sake of the math. So 30 times 40, that's 1,200 hours plus my own 40 hours. So that's 1,240 hours a week. So I work 1,240 hours a week.
Love that.
So you can literally do circles around everybody else who only works 40 hours because they're trading their own time for money.
That's the way to scale. So Gogo, who was the influential person behind? Everybody have there somebody is there to be successful. Who was that person who influenced you to be like so independent, taking those decisions, leveraging other people's time and money and valuing those hours for you? Do you have any motivators in your life?
No, I can't necessarily give credit to one person, right? I feel like it's a mixture of a lot of things. So going back to my childhood, my parents didn't love me the way I needed to be loved,
Okay.
right? And so I didn't get the attention. My parents never told me they love me. They never told me they're proud of me when I was younger, right? So I always achieved, constantly achieved. Oh, if I do this, then they're gonna tell me they love me. Or if I achieve that, then they're gonna tell me they're proud of me, right? So I constantly achieved, with the hope that they're gonna tell me that they're proud of me. It just never happened, right? But because that's what I did constantly, what happens when you do the same thing over and over again becomes a habit. Right now, it's created who I am. Now I don't know how to do anything else, and I no longer do it because of their approval. I just do it because it's who I am today. I don't know how to be anything else but an achiever, right? But if I would have gotten the love the way I needed it, I would not be who I am today, right? So sometimes you have to use the pain that formed you, right? Because, and then that takes me to the next thing. Who are the fundamental people that changed my life? One of them is Oprah. The next one is Tony Robbins and Dr. Wayne Dyer. So I kind of stumbled across right around age 29. I went through this like soul searching. Why am I here? Do I serve a purpose? I don't really have a special skill. So I'm not like Celine Dion. I can't sing, right? Like, what can I do? What am I here for?
Mm-hmm.
Am I gonna leave a little dot in the history of mankind, or am I just gonna like have a life and been here gone next day, right? So I went through a bunch of soul searching, and Oprah had two shows on television at the time. One was called Super Soul Sunday, and one was called Masterclass. I watched every single episode. And those are people who have achieved something in life, and they tell you the life lessons that they learned. So I learned a lot through their life lessons. I'm huge in quotes. For some reason, quotes talk to me. So I have a whole book that I just write down quotes that talk to me, right? So the first one that changed my life was this quote: "If you don't build your dreams,
Mm-hmm.
someone is going to hire you to build theirs."
Love that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's when I realized that I'm an entrepreneur at heart, right? I didn't come to the US to build somebody else's
Someone else's dream.
American
Mm-hmm.
dream. I came to build mine, right? And then from Oprah's, I kind of went down on the dark alley of the internet of Tony Robbins. And then I went to every event that Tony Robbins had. I went to UPW, I think 6, 7 times. I'm going again in this November. So I'm going next week to UPW again. So UPW is Unleash the Power Within. So that kind of helps with that soul searching path, right? And then I did Business Mastery, Daily Destiny. So I pretty much did all of his events besides the one on the island of Fiji. And then I also love Dr. Wayne Dyer. Like, to me, he talks about life the way I need to hear it. I was just watching with my husband a couple of nights ago on like a recording of him. And he said some people live 90 years and some people live 1 year 90 times.
Yes. It's the same life. You're not taking, moving out of your comfort zone.
It's like reading the same chapter of the book over and over and
Over again.
You have a whole book to read, but you just stuck on that. That's the only one you're going to keep reading.
Like that motivation and energy. So love that. Even I can relate to that. Tony Robbins have been a life-changing for me too. Even in Dallas event where we met, he was there. I was amazed by his 5 year. It was like 5 hours. He was continuously, motivating people. I was amazed by his energy level.
Have you ever gone to UPW?
No, I haven't.
5 days of that, nonstop. Starts at like 6 in the morning, goes until 1 o'clock at night. Like, it goes on all day. All day. You go to sleep for like 4 or 5 hours. You wake up, you do it again. No food, no pee, no nothing.
My God.
I absolutely love it. I feel like my soul craves it. Like, you go, as Veronica Figueroa says, different levels, different devils. Like, you go for a different reason every time.
Yes.
Because you have different problems, right? Each level of life has a different problem.
Challenges.
You have to solve. And as soon as you solve it, then you're ready for the next level, right? So it's just like never stop.
Yeah. So it's like just going above the ladder. Now, I remember you must have started with EXP when you had only one agent, 100 agent, 500, 1,000. Now you'll have 50,000.
It was me. It was just me.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? So it's always you need that continuous push, but it's a motivation for everyone. People watching this video, the way you use this system, the way you use your young age struggle to empower you. and how you're leveraging other people. Plus, you're still learning, still growing, you still have that hunger, the burning desire inside you.
Yeah.
That's
There's
key.
a saying that whatever happened to you, you have two options. You can be the victim or the victor.
Yeah, love that. Yeah.
And it's everybody's choice, right? Like life happening to all of us. Nobody's getting out here be like, "Psst, I'm good, right? Like, no, we lose people, we have sickness, we have hardship, we have, you name it, everybody had their heart broken at some time, right? Like nobody's getting out without bearing the cost the whole way, right? It's just how do you look at it? Do you use it as fuel to feed your fire and be like, never again? Or do you point fingers and be like, it's his fault or her fault or, oh, poor me, or I can't even understand that part because I've never played the victim card.
No, good. So, Gogo, what are your key targets? What are the goals you're looking into 2023? Are you goals driven, like have this numbers? For me, I'm more of like that. I need this, this is what my goals are, and then I focus towards that. Do you have something in mind? I know you have achieved so much success already. What is happening for Gogo in next years?
Yeah, so it's like I don't know necessarily if they're goals anymore because I feel like goals are financial, at least for me, right? They're tied to some sort of financial goal. I feel like now I have dreams, like big dreams, right? So I can't wait to see my TV show, right? It is in the motion and starting in a week and a half here, November 1st-ish. So that's a big deal, right? Like, oh my gosh, like this little girl from Romania is starting a TV show. Like, what just happened? Seeing that emotion. And then the next one, I really want to write a book. I already have the title and God put it on my heart long, long time ago. I just haven't had the inspiration yet, right? So I feel like it's getting really close to write it. I want to write it myself, right? And so that's next. I have amazing ideas for business purposes. I usually have this whiteboard. I don't know if I can turn this without dumping the orange juice on myself, but pour the water. There we go.
Yeah. There you go.
See
Yes.
that? Okay. So there's like a whiteboard right here, right? And I have great ideas and I just put them on there. And
Okay.
then when we run out of things to do, which is never, but when we find some extra time, that's when I usually am like, okay, well, we should start this project next or that project next, or you know what I mean? So it's like it never really ends, but I feel like what's most important to me now is time time freedom and family freedom, right? So I'm not going to get into, even if something is a very, very good idea, I'm not going to get into it if it's going to require a lot of my time.
Yes.
So if we can figure out a way where we can systematize it or something else is going the wayside and we can replace that time, but I'm not willing to take any more time away from life and family in order to build another dream, right? Like, thank God, I feel like we made enough money. And of course, it's never enough. We're always going to chase the next thing, right? But not on the price of family time anymore. So I think I'm very cautious of what we are building, and most of the things that we are building, I want it to be very systematized, where it doesn't require a lot of my time.
Love that actually. So, Gogo, you are already 21-year-old. You already told us. What advice you
Old
want to
enough to
give?
drink, right?
What advice you want to give to a Gogo who was like 18-year-old? What could you have done better at that time, based
Well,
on your current situation?
I mean, there's this story that I read this article. It was a research where they asked people, they were sitting around the table, right? And they gave them these little pieces of papers and they said, write down all of your problems, right? So everybody was writing down this problem, that problem, and they would roll it up and put it in a pile in front of them, right? And then they said, okay, now you have a couple options. You can exchange your pile with somebody else's, or you can take your own back, right? And everybody, 100% of the people took their own back, right? So what I'm trying to say with that is I wouldn't be who I am today. So I wouldn't go back and change anything because I would not have some, that minor little change back then would have snowballed into not having something today or having something totally different, right? So I wouldn't go back and change, but there are fundamentals in life, right? Like that quote that I read when I was 29 years old. And if you don't build your dreams, someone's going to hire you to build theirs. I
With
was
the dream.
sitting in a corporate America job for 5 years. I was already building someone's dream for 5 years. So if I could have found that quote 5 years earlier, maybe speed up the process of being where I'm at earlier, right? So what I would do if I was young, because you're not going back and changing things, you're building things, right? So what I would do is start your soul searching early. Find your people that you want to follow and don't set your goals way far out. So, for example, what I mean by that is if you just got your real estate license, don't try to have what I have 11 years in, right? It's just not going to work, right? You want to pick the people that are just one step ahead, right? So, for
Yes.
example, if you just got licensed, you want to meet that local agent who's doing a deal a month, right? You're just like, I just want to do a deal a month. If I can go get to a deal a month, then I can do two a month, which is pretty much 24 a year, which is pretty much 25 deals. If I can do 25, I can do 50, right? So I want you to, I'm not saying don't look at the end result and chase it, right? But break it down into bite-sized pieces because you can't eat an elephant in one bite, right? You're going to have to eat the elephant with one bite at a time. You can eat an elephant, but one bite at a time. So I would want you to figure out, okay, who is that one step ahead of me person? And follow that person and interview them. Be like, how did you do that? And what's in it? And what books did you read? And what systems do you have in place? And who do you talk to? And what do you do all day? And show me your schedule, right? Go shadow that person, right? And when you get that, when you are, let's say month 5 and you did a deal a month, you're like halfway through your end goal, right? That's when you're like, okay, who's the next person? Who's the person at 25? Right? And then you go and, okay, now I'm at 25. I need a transaction coordinator or I need a buyer's agent. Who's that agent who has a transaction coordinator? Call them and be like, okay, how do you structure it? How do you pay them? What do they do for you? Where do you find them? Can I have them? Do you have another company? Can I mean, so I constantly pick people's brains that are one step ahead. I chase the big guy, like I chased the Tony Robbins, and one day I'm like, I'm gonna be Tony Robbins on stage. Just a little 5'2" woman version of that. Right? You can change that and go, but break it down into bite-sized pieces and find those people that are right there in your backyard you could interview who's doing what you want to do and do that. And don't ever ask a broke friend how to make $1 million.
I like that. So that's the key here.
Don't ever, because you have to think of it this way. If somebody tells you that no, you can't do that, that's because they believe they can do that. It doesn't mean that you can't, right? And if nobody else done it before, that just means you'll be the first one to do it. Congratulations.
That's a good analogy. So basically, you already have a continuous desire of learning, and your proximity is the key. Proximity to the next successful person you want to be. You want to be.
That's the easiest way. Like, copy what they're doing because they literally know what they're doing. They already have the goal that you're chasing, right? They already achieved that. Just copy and paste. There's no need for you to invent the wheel. If somebody's already done it, just copy them.
Like that, okay, definitely. So on the financial side, Gogo, what is your more? You have like 7, 8 pillars. If you have to rank 1, 2, 3, what are your most paying pillars as of now?
Which one makes the most amount of money?
Yes.
Gogo's Bootcamp is number 1.
Okay.
EXP Ref Share is number 2.
Yes.
My local team is number 3. Probably, I don't know. Well, the next company that I just started from, that would have been number 3, and my team would have been number 4, right? But we just started, so now Sammy owns that company, so I no longer have ownership in that one. And then the rest of them are kind of like cute little money making.
Definitely. So what are your key focus? Definitely we have a limited energy and time. You have those success pillars for you. Are you aligned to one of those pillars to make it successful, or your energy is divided among all those things?
I would say all of them, because you don't want to have all of your eggs in one basket, right? That's probably one of the worst things that you can do, because if God forbid something happens to that business or to that industry or to you, and you were your business, right? Like, what are you going to do? But I remember going to Business Mastery, and that year I made $250,000. This is like, I don't even know how many years ago, the first time I went to Business Mastery. And I walked in there thinking I'm all that and a bag of chips. Like, I would have never made $250,000 if I stayed in Romania. Like, that was not even an option. I would have not made that in a lifetime. A really, really, really good job. So making that in a year, I was like, I'm good, right? So I went in there thinking that, and at that event, I realized,
No,
first of all, 250 is nothing compared to these people that I'm sitting with. And then second of all, they all had multiple companies, multiple revenues of income, and some were not tied to another. So if this one sinks, this is totally fine, right? And I was like, ooh. And not only did they have multiple revenues of income, many of 4, they did not have to trade their time. They just owned it, and the company made money. right? They didn't have to put in 40 hours of work for the company to make money. It worked without them. So that's what's called passive income, right? Or revenue income, or good morning money. You wake up and you have money, right? So I made a goal when I walked out of there. Then I have to have multiple revenues of income, and most of which has to be passive, right? So even if I no longer roll out of bed, or I get pregnant and I can't show houses anymore, or something, right? Then we would still be making money, because at that time I was trading time for money. If I stopped showing houses, we stopped making that money.
Like that. So the passive thing is the key, and obviously you learned from there, you took the action, you implemented that for
Yeah.
yourself. So we are running short of time. So what we'll do is we'll have some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
So just to get to know Gogo more and utilize your time more. So have like important lesson that you have learned in your current business that taught you, any business. What is the key lesson that you have learned?
That you always have to follow your gut feeling.
So
If God gave you the idea, you know that thing when you're walking down on the street and that little noise says go over to the other side, you freaking go over to the other side. You go over to the other side of the road. And the same feeling is there for everything, right? So I use it all the time. If I wake up one day and be like, you need to shut down the company, guess what? I'm shutting down the company. Because I feel like God doesn't give you ideas that it doesn't mean to be yours. You already have the skills, but God also gives you a choice. You get to choose good or bad. You get to choose if you're going to follow your gut feeling or not, right? But you also get to take the consequences with the decisions that you make. So I believe, at least for me, my gut feeling never did me wrong. And I believe everybody should follow their own.
definitely, you always have a choice in life. What occupation other than what you're doing right now, maybe into real estate, we Gogo would have been doing?
So I wanted to be an attorney or an actress.
You're already actress.
I guess so, kind of, right? But I would have liked to be like, I think I would have made an amazing defense attorney. Like, I love a good argument, right? And not argument like just a nonsense argument, but like a good old, like, here are the facts, beat me, right? And I think I would be so good at it. So that's what I would have liked to be a
Love.
defense attorney.
Any three books that you would to want to recommend to the audience that changed your life?
Yeah, my favorite is, oh, there's so many, but these are my all-time favorite. Okay, let's start with this little pocketbook, The Greatest Salesman in the World.
Okay.
So it's a little pocketbook. It's the best book ever, in my opinion. I read it multiple times. There's like 10 scrolls in there that just kind of talks about why are you the way you are and why God created you for you to be who you are, right? And then to accept yourself. And then Think and Grow Rich. Everybody knows that one, right? Napoleon Hill. But Napoleon Hill also wrote this one,
I
Outwitting.
have that. I have that. Yeah, I
This
like
is
that.
probably lately my all-time favorite book, Outwitting the Devil.
Yeah,
So
I
these
like
are
that.
my three all-time favorite books.
Okay, thank you. So, any podcast you can keep yourself knowledgeable about things, what is happening in the market, whatever, how you keep your brain intact, because all the information that is feeding from your eyes, ears goes into your subconscious, which is pushing you to take action. So, what is that helps you energetic, knowledgeable, what is happening, and then how you keep up to date?
So I don't do podcasts because I'm not a visual learner. I mean, I'm not an audible learner. I'm a visual learner. So I do kind of like podcasts, but YouTube version of that, right? So every day when I put my makeup on, that's my like me time.
Okay.
And just as I'm going towards the bathroom, I turn YouTube on, and YouTube knows me already, right? So it just suggests what I should see and watch. So I watch a lot of motivational things. I watch a lot of like, anything that's in the motivational world. Like Oprah has a bunch of them, and I don't know. That's just what my soul needs, and I feel like I spend enough time in like the real estate world with the in-person events and all that. Then I'm usually up to date. I can't listen to podcasts because you lose me about 3 minutes in. If I'm not watching something, my ear, like I probably wouldn't retain 30%. If I'm ever listening to podcasts, it's usually one of those crime junkies that I'm driving between Michigan and Florida, and we have like 17 hours to drive, and then I'll just listen to, some sort of like crime junkie or something like that. But not, I don't do audiobooks. I read a good old paper book.
Love that, right? So I think we are in the same generation, still 18-year-old or 21-year-old. So we love reading, not like the people who are into audibles.
I love, if you look at ever any of my books, they're underlined. Like I use a pencil. See, like the things that is important to me is always underlined in a book.
So it's already autobiographed by you. That's good.
It's touched by me.
And where you would love to live, irrespective, Michigan, Florida, what is your dream destination?
I live in my dream destination.
Love that.
I made my dreams a reality. I live where people vacation.
So you're already there. Okay, love that. So what is your biggest failure and what is the key learning you have?
My biggest fear is probably heights. I just don't like heights.
No, it's not fair. It's a failure. What is your failure?
Oh, my
Biggest.
biggest failure.
Hmm.
Oh. I don't think I have failures. I think I have life lessons.
Love that. It's like all the results are different. The way you don't
Yeah,
anticipate
because
it, they're
every
different.
time something doesn't work out, you're like, okay, what was I supposed to learn from this? Because I like to say and joke that God throws you pebbles. Just let pebbles. And if you don't listen, he's going to throw a brick. So I try to listen to the pebbles as often as I can because I really don't like the brick, right? But if I do get a brick to the face, I'm like, ooh, what's the lesson in this one? Because I clearly didn't learn it. Because if I would have learned it on the pebble size, then I would have not got a brick to the face.
That's great. We already talked about that. Your favorite trip?
Tip?
Trip. Yeah,
Oh,
if you have to go
trip.
for it, yeah.
Ooh. I mean, I think I just like the when we have our best friends and our family and our kids, like no matter where we go, even if we go up north fishing or we go to Alaska or wherever we go, just having those moments with your favorite people on earth where you can truly just be yourself and you're in your comfies and there's a fire burning and you're just singing silly songs and cooking together and you know what I mean, like those things. So I have a lot of memories going up north fishing in Michigan. That's where I feel like most down to earth and just hanging out in life, right? So I would say up North Michigan for
Okay.
like the close to heart. I love going anywhere, right? Like as you can see, I travel a lot, but I think family and closeness
Yeah,
over just a trip.
that's good. Let's say somebody gives you $10 million and they ask you to spend it tomorrow. Where you will spend it?
Probably buy a bunch of real estate investments. Just rent it out,
Again, investment. I knew.
right? Because it's like I used to think of helping
Business.
people with. So if we are, I guess, what's the question? What would I do with it financially, investments wise, or what would I help someone? If it would be helping, right? I don't think necessarily money helps people, knowledge helps people. Because if you don't, everybody is in the situation where they are because of the knowledge they hold, right? So if I want to truly help someone, I need to help them become smarter so that eventually they can make their own empire, build their own empire,
Yes.
right? So if I would if I would use the money for helping others, I would use it for education. So I would do some sort of a soul searching boot camp, some sort of a business academy, some sort of a social media marketing, some sort of a, things that it would take someone from whatever situation they are in to the next level. There's always a next level. And that's actually
Okay.
one of the things on the board I have there. I'm planning on building a university because I feel like I have been blessed with so many amazing people in my life that hold knowledge on some sort of subject. Then I want to create a university where people can come and pay like a whatever membership, like a master class, right? And they can pay their membership and come and learn from others that hold the knowledge on some specific subject. And I'm going to open it up to anything entrepreneurial, not just real estate. So anything small business ownership. So everybody can just take themselves to the next level wherever they're at.
Love that, right?
So let's do that. I would invest it into my Gogo University.
That's what we're looking for, right? It's rapid fire. So, and one meal that you can eat throughout your life.
What?
One meal that you can eat throughout your life.
We have this conversation in my house all the time. It would be soup.
Okay.
Soup of any kind. I love soups. I can make soup out of anything pretty much, right?
That's called soup gogo. What is called?
Yeah, I mean, I can make soups out of literally two ingredients and I'll whip up a soup like no one's business, right? So I love soups. And growing up, we always had a soup every single day for lunch. And I know that's not an American thing, so I miss it all the time. But if I have time to cook, there's soup in my fridge.
Okay, great. So, anything you want to share before we wrap up this audience? Any questions that you want me to ask you or our viewers ask you that you want to love and share your knowledge on?
Oh, thank you. I think the easiest is just to, if you want to follow me on Gogo's Real Estate on Instagram, and if I can help you with social media marketing or agent attraction, right? We have the two boot camps, which is Gogo's boot camp. If you would like to watch my TV show, it's going to be Gogopreneur. So you can just Google Gogopreneur or gogopreneur.com, or you can go to Your Home TV and watch it. And I think that's it. I mean, if there's any way that I can help you guys, you can pretty much find me everywhere, right? From the TikToks, the YouTubes, the name it. And I try to share the good, bad, and the ugly about everything, right? About business ownership, real estate, team building, marketing, you name it. I mean, whatever it's happening in my life, I try to share that lesson so that people don't have to learn it on their own skin. They can learn it on my mistakes, my pebbles.
Yeah, like that. We already know that you have invested 100,000 into your swimming pool. So that is what. So if you follow
Yeah,
Gogo,
Dwayne
you,
posted that. Dwayne posted that yesterday, which come to find out that is actually very cheap nowadays. Because my
yeah.
neighbor was like, "You only paid 100, we paid 165." You're like, "What?"
Oh, you could have done that one next video, make it 165,
I
right?
guess we could have upped it. Yeah. So we got lucky, I guess, for 100. But yeah, a lot of people responded and said that was only 100. We thought that was expensive. We never had a pool, right? Coming from Michigan, I'm like, I had a blown up pool. So 100,000, I thought that was expensive, but I guess it's not. What do I know?
Okay. Thank you, Gogo. It's such a pleasure talking to you and get to know about your insight. And it's motivation for us, for our audience. Love your pink theme, and people will be following you on Gogo, Team Gogo.
Thank you.
So thanks for coming on our podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. You guys
Thanks a
are
lot.
awesome.
Thank you. Let me stop it for you. Exit. And there you go.